Hello and welcome. Today we are talking about the VK1, the brand new, well, it's 3 months old now. It took me a while to make this video, I'll tell you why in a second. We're here to talk about these new synthetic reeds. First thing we're going to do, I'm going to play you 2 examples. See if you can tell which one is the synthetic reed. If you would, go ahead and put in the comments now which one you think is the synthetic reed. Is it example number 1 or example number 2? I find that they're relatively similar, but most importantly, both adequate or more than adequate sounds. So let's get into talking about what's up with these reeds and why did it take me so long to make a video about it. I wanted to live with these reeds for a little while. I went the first day when they became available and I bought a couple. And I immediately started playing on them. And it took me a little while to feel like I had played on them enough to feel comfortable to talk to you about them. And so here's what I've learned. They have a numbering system that is a little bit different. It goes from 35 to 60. I'll put the chart up here on the screen so you can see what they suggest is the appropriate strength, depending on what type of reed you play, what might be right for you. I play on a number 4 V12. That's not a secret. The number 60 is probably a little bit less resistant than that. It took me a little while to figure out how to feel super comfortable on it. It does feel a little bit different. Even more importantly than that, the way that the resistance of a synthetic reed functions, to me, is quite different than how a cane reed functions. Primarily because when you get a synthetic reed, no matter what brand, they're even. Don't need to balance these things. They come balanced. It is a very nice thing to have that and to not have to be bothered with balancing your own reed. What that means to me is a slightly harder, more resistant reed is going to feel a little bit more cooperative in its resistance. But the trade-off in the synthetic reed, and it's always been this way for me, is I don't get the feedback of a cane reed when I play. I feel like there's a way that the cane reed tells me something about the sound and the response and what register I'm in and how to play it, that's slightly different than a synthetic reed. And now I have played on other brands of synthetic reeds in my life for extended periods of time, and I have felt successful with them. The challenge for me with the synthetic reed was always that the tendencies of that reed did not feel like a cane reed. So when I would potentially want to switch to a cane reed, my notes were in different places pitch-wise, the resistances were a little bit different from register to register, and I felt a little bit uncomfortable with that. Because for me, the perfect world is having a synthetic reed that you can go back and forth between a cane reed. And that is where, in my estimation, these reeds shine. We're going to listen to me playing. I recorded myself twice, playing a C major scale, starting on low E, going up to high G. And we're going to watch these overtones. We're going to see if the sound is any different. Because one of the things that happens with these reeds is the feedback you get isn't the same as the sound that's coming out. It's not the same feedback loop that you get with the cane reed. So let's listen to see if the sounds, scientifically, are really any different. So what we're going to look at is a tonal energy tuner, and it's going to show the overtones that are being represented in the sound on every diatonic note in a C major scale, low E up to high G. Let's check it out. So what I get is that the pitch is by and large the same. You're hearing me play with the metronome in my ear, so the notes are all switching at the same time. I'm playing together. There is some pitch variation that mostly has to do, I believe, with when I took a breath and getting that note settled again. So I feel like pitch-wise, we're squared away. It's cool. It's what a cane reed is. But also looking at the overtones, there are some differences. They're not huge. I feel like by and large they're the same. It's quite interesting. I have my number 60 VK on my mouthpiece right now. Let's play it a little bit. So it feels pretty good right off the bat playing my standard close A scales. Let's get into like how it is that I decided I could do this with this reed. I have played this reed in public with what I would call great success. And quite, as a matter of fact, let me tell this story real quick. I told the person I was sitting next to, I'm going to try this reed today. And we played for 3 hours in front of people. And the comment at the end was, oh, I forgot you were doing that. Which to me is the greatest compliment a synthetic reed can get, right? Is that you tell somebody that you're sitting next to who might be or might not be judgmental, and then they completely have forgotten that you're even doing it. It's a great sign. The challenge for me with these reeds was to learn how to play at the low end of the dynamic range. And what I found was to get the right resistance in here, I had to figure out where I could play in the clarion register with a nice pianissimo attack, maybe without a tongue. Right in there. If the resistance of these reeds isn't right for me, they tend to have a threshold by which they stop and start that is not my lowest dynamic. The other thing I wanted to check with these reeds, and I was excited with the results, was to be able to play my overtone exercises. You know, if I want to be able to play, if you want to see these exercises or exercises like this, I've got plenty of videos for that. Please check them out. I'm not going to explain what I'm doing, but I'm basically going to play with no register key. That's the explanation I'm going to give you. So I'm going to play low C, clarion G, high E. And maybe try to go to a high A. So I can get all those different registers with this reed at about the same accuracy as I would get them. And that again is without a register key. That's one of the checks that I do to make sure that a cane reed is playing right, that I can get all the different registers. So a synthetic reed should be able to do that same thing for me. So I think that's great. But let's do just like, I recorded, the what you heard earlier very carefully. Let's do something a little less careful. Let's play this VK on something that maybe we all know. One of the things these Rose etudes do is it allows us to play very quietly, very loudly in different registers. We can really test to see what happens to the sound. And then I'm going to compare it to a V12. And we're going to see what happens. I don't know. I haven't tried it before. That's not true. I have. Just not today. So let's switch over to a cane reed, a nice one. I worked on this one hard. Let's see what happens. Because in a perfect world, I should just be able to switch to this one, maybe have a little bit extra in the tone, maybe some, I don't know what it is. There's a little something extra that I think I get from a cane reed. I'm not sure. You tell me. everyone knows who's ever watched this channel, I love my V12, number 4. I feel like this is as close as I can come with a synthetic reed that I've experienced to the same feeling. I can just switch back. Let's see what happens, just real quick. I think Vandoren has done something incredible here. They have given us a reed that in certain situations is going to far outshine a cane reed. Perhaps you have a job playing in a pit orchestra and you're not going to play your clarinet for 10 minutes and then you got to pick it up and you got to play it. This is going to give you some security there without really much, if any, loss in terms of sound and control. Also, for playing outside, really terrific. These reeds, I think, are about $45. I'm going to have to put something down here to correct myself because I haven't looked in the past little bit, and I don't remember what I paid for mine. Here's what I want to tell you about any synthetic reed, these included, any of them. The tips are very sensitive. I think they're even more sensitive than a regular cane reed in terms of if you bend it, you're done. That reed's not going to work anymore. Take really good care of these reeds. Vandoren suggests that you get a reed case that is flat glass and put it on that. These would be a really bad idea if you're putting them in a case that the tips slide under. Because the tips, if you catch that tip even for a second, that reed's going to be finished. And that's something that we don't want. Obviously, we want these expensive, because any synthetic reed is far more expensive than a cane reed. We do need to make sure we take very good care of them. The other experience that I have, other people have poo-pooed this idea, is that I tend to get a little bit more water in my instrument when I play on a synthetic reed. And that can be a challenge. I swab even more frequently. I already swab pretty frequently, but even more frequently with these reeds, every chance I get, if I'm playing a concert or at a show. That's really, really important because there's nothing absorbing anything here, and the water's just going right down. The condensation is going right down the instrument. So that's what I got for you. I am not going to play. I've got all these reeds over here because I do have every single resistance. But for me to play a 35 is just going to sound like me playing the wrong reed on this mouthpiece. So I'm not going to show you every single resistance level. Vandoren, good job. Thank you for doing this. You've given us something really wonderful here. And the fact that they're called the VK1 gives me hope that maybe there's going to be some tinkering going on. And maybe this already great product will get even better. I'm hoping. But here's what I do want to say. Vandoren, please make a 65. Please make a 65. Don't stop at 60. Make a 65. You know, those of us that like to play number 4 are going to really, really appreciate that. It's given us the resistance that we want, plus an evenness, a balance, and so good. That's my take. I'm going to link the stuff down in the description. Please check these reeds out. I would say the chart's pretty accurate. So look at it. I would say that a little bit more resistant than you're used to is probably good. But that probably means following the chart exactly if you work on your reeds. Because we all take our reeds down. At least I do. So I start with the 4, but I end up with less than a 4 because I take some wood off. But the balanced component of this right there, it makes it so that that extra resistance that might be there is actually very, very useful to you rather than fighting against you. So that's what I got. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you're still here, would you? Watch some other videos, and I'll talk to you soon.